And today is the day, at least when it comes to your chance to float the Smith River.
That deadline, news about hunting season are all in This Week in Fish and Wildlife.
This Week in Fish and Wildlife, sponsored by your local Montana Toyota dealers.
Thursday morning, time once again for This Week in Fish and Wildlife. We're at Region 3 headquarters. Joining us this morning, Lorenzo Aguilar, our office manager here. This is about to be super quiet here right now. That's about to change in just a few days. Let's talk about, of course, the beginning of all of it again, kicking off.
Yes, so this Thursday is the deadline for the private boat launch for Smith River application. So if you're even considering it, you need to get it in. I was just thinking about it. I've even mentioned putting in for it, and I don't know anybody with a boat until I mention I'm putting in for it.
Oh,
so
I'm sure of that.
Put in for it, because if you draw it, even if you don't have a boat, I guarantee you're going to find a bunch of friends that do. That's this Thursday is the deadline, and then subsequently on Friday is the deadline for the shoulder season for antlerless elk. So I want to make sure, folks, if you hadn't had a chance to get out there, it's your last chance this week through Friday. And then after that, then the floodgates open, and we're excited about it. The new licensure, the new licenses will be available on Tuesday the 19th, this coming Tuesday. Also important to keep in mind that opens up that window through March 15th, where you have the special permits for deer and elk. Not the big game moose, sheep, and goat, that'll come later. So deer and elk special permits, and then the non-resident combos.
Lots happening. My advice, as we've always talked about this, the website. All the information is there. If you come a little prepared, it'll make things go a lot faster if you have to come into the office, won't it?
We agree, and we do strongly encourage folks to spend some time in advance on the website. A lot more people we're finding are applying online and successfully. We do apologize when there's hiccups with the technology, but by and large, we've had good feedback from folks that have been able to complete their applications online. And I think that we'll see a progression each year a little bit more to where that will be required. But in the meantime, please don't hesitate to give us a call. We've spent a lot of time in the front office to make sure that we're well versed and we can walk people through and kind of troubleshoot issues throughout that process. I
want to go back to the Smith River permitting deal for that. I've heard some people say falsely that it's first come, first served. There's no reason for me to apply. I know this is the last day for it, all of that. That is not how this process works, is it?
Not at all. So basically everyone, no rush, just make sure you get your application in by the deadline. But then after that, it's going to be like any other drawing. You know, there's so many launches per day, and so you can put in up to 3 days. You don't have to, but you can put in up to 3 days. And if you draw one of those days, then you'll be able to go along with a group of people that get to go that day. So the other thing reminded me, the other thing is that March 15th is the deadline for the super permit. And so that's a little different because they're only going to draw one. And so you want to make sure to get those in by March 15th. You have a little bit more time, probably much better odds to put in by the deadline this Thursday, though.
That's a great idea. Again, Lorenzo Aguilar joining us this morning. Smith River permits coming up today, shoulder season wrapping up tomorrow, and then the kickoff, at least the first part of it for the season, starting next week. That's perfect. And by the way, if you need help getting your boat in the river on the Smith, Lorenzo and I are your team. There we go. Lorenzo, thank you very much. And that's This Week in Fish and Wildlife.
This Week in Fish and Wildlife was sponsored by Toyota. Let's go places.
Just to note, the Smith River float deadline was yesterday. That piece got moved to today, courtesy of a large building fire yesterday. That's how that happened. We're going to stay kind of on